On a frosty Thursday night, over a carefully chosen dinner, she announced the end of our 3-year relationship, oblivious to the shocking truth that was about to surface. We had shared a warm, snug apartment just outside the city, filled with our routines, secret jests, and even talks of a future that might include wedding vows. Those years hadn't been a roller coaster of fights and reconciliations, but a serene, steady connection, or so I thought. That evening, though, an uneasy feeling settled in the moment we sat down. She had picked this charming bistro, a place she loved, where she used to clasp my hand across the table before our food arrived. Tonight, her hand stayed tucked in her lap, her eyes darting away, barely meeting mine for a second. The waiter brought our wine, but her glass sat untouched. I asked if she was okay, and she flashed a tight, forced smile, the kind that hides a heart already drifting far away. Then she spoke. "We need to talk about us." The world around me seemed to freeze. The clinking of plates, the soft melody. In the background, the murmur of a couple nearby, it all blurred into a muffled drone. I steadied myself, knowing such words rarely heralded good news. She went on, "I've been thinking, and I feel we're no longer heading in the same direction." I stayed quiet, absorbing her words, searching for sincerity in her voice. But it sounded alien, detached. "I'm not fulfilled anymore," she said. "I think it's better if we go our separate ways now, before it hurts even more." Her words hung in the air, dense and oppressive, filling the space between us with a strange, heavy presence. I gazed at her, more confused than wounded, as if I'd wandered into someone else's narrative. How had we shifted from late-night cuddles and shared giggles to this? What she didn't know, what she couldn't have guessed, was that I already knew about her disloyalty. 2 weeks earlier, she'd left her tablet open on the kitchen counter, exposing messages to a man named Tyler from her office. They weren't mere friendly chats, they were warm, flirtatious, brimming with a bond that didn't belong in our life together. I hadn't confronted her right away. I needed to be sure. So, I watched as she pulled away. Fewer bedtime kisses, longer showers, vague reasons for staying late at work. I saw it all and let it play out, hoping she'd come clean on her own. She never did. Instead, she sat there, painting herself as the one making a noble choice, framing our breakup as a kind, mutual decision. That pretense stung more than her betrayal, the act of care draped over her falsehoods. I leaned back, took a sip of my wine, and asked, "Is this really what you want?" She nodded, saying, "It's for the best. We both deserve to be happy." I offered a sincere smile, not a forced one, because I knew what was coming next. Reaching into my coat, I slid a small envelope across the table. Her brow creased in puzzlement. "What's this?" she asked. "Open it," I said, my voice steady. She hesitated, then opened the envelope, pulling out printed screenshots, pages of her messages to Tyler. Every late night emoji, every "I wish you were here," every "he doesn't get me like you do." Her hands shook as she leafed through them. "I didn't want it to end like this," I said quietly, "but since you're being truthful tonight, I figured I'd do the same." Her face paled, her calm exterior shattering. For the first time that night, she couldn't conceal her emotions. "You saw my messages," she whispered, her voice faint. "No," I corrected. "You left them out for me to see." I just paid attention. The silence that followed was raw, unfiltered. "I didn't mean to hurt you," she started, but I interrupted. "But you did, and you didn't have the courage to admit it. You thought you could walk away from this dinner untouched, as if I'd never find out, as if I'd just let you slip away with a few quiet tears." Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. Nearby patrons began to glance our way, but I no longer cared. "I deserve someone who doesn't lie to me," I said. "Someone who cherishes what we created, not someone who strays and calls it growing apart." She lowered her head, her shame clear in her slumped shoulders. But I wasn't done. "I packed your belongings this morning," I told her. "Your keys won't open the apartment door anymore. I ended our lease and took your name off it. I even left your favorite mug at your office desk. I'm finished being the man who waits for you to choose me again." That was the moment she hadn't seen coming. She thought she was in control, ending things on her terms. She didn't know I'd already let her go in my heart the day I read those messages. I'd just been waiting for her to show her true colors. She sat there, wordless, as I stood up. I placed a $100 bill on the table, though we hadn't touched our food. Then I walked away, no yelling, no begging, no drama. Just the quiet weight of honesty and a final, decisive break. As I stepped into the chilly night, Heading to my car alone, I felt a warmth I hadn't felt in weeks. It was as if I'd taken back my life, shedding the burden of pretending we were still whole. Sometimes the most powerful move is to walk away, especially when they never expect it.